Uh, hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with your Sensei Al Bob, me here in the undisclosed location. And I haven't been on the air too much because all the roads around me are totally destroyed, and my health hasn't been the best, so I've had to see a bunch of doctors. And blah, blah, blah. Same as it ever was. But this YouTube channel has been on air for almost 8 years, right? And from the very beginning, I started talking about basically the big splat, right? And I told all kinds of stories. I do like hearing about the old crone and all the paranormal stuff I have experienced, all of the above, right? But the most paranormal thing is what you're going through right now. Donnie Chump and Neon Husk and all the rest of the billionaire poster child bros. Basically, they are destroying. I mean, America has been destroyed since day one, but they are really going for it. And we're going to end up with a nice little smorgasbord of Big Brother and Handmaid's Tale and Hunger Games and that, right? And relatively soon, right? And like I said, if we survive April 20th, then we're in good shape, right? So basically, it'll be no worse than what Donnie did the 4 years before. And when he left office, he was the most hated president ever, right? And it was stolen. I mean, if you can't see that all of this is a frigging, um, soap opera, that it's scripted, that scene in the Oval Office, surrounded by gold leaf and artifacts that aren't real. It's like, Donald Trump has the Oval looking a lot like Cracker Barrel. So anyway, I mean, and that's the level of his aesthetic taste, right? So making America great again, and that's Cracker Barrel, right? That's it, right there. A Photoshop version of a illusion of a delusion of memory that never existed. So I myself have been out in the deep green, just enjoying the beautiful weather, and God has blessed me with the storms just keep flying by. Like the other night, I don't know what day it was, but it was really nasty, 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 nasty tornadoes and thunderstorms that went through Tennessee, and it kind of, just I could see it like over there in the west, but it wasn't on top of me. Right? And every day has been, kind of like what it is out there now, sunny and nice, but extraordinarily, energetics, meaning it was 90. I live in a holler, right? I live like in a beer cooler, right? And it was night. My thermometer that was in the shade was 90 degrees, right? And I looked. I have a little UV meter, and it was like on deadly. So it's we are experiencing things around this planet that are man-made and not so man-made, right? They are paranormally, dimensionally, and spiritually made. So that's what we got going on. And so the best thing you could do right now is get to know your neighbor, right? Every time you go to the supermarket, buy a few cans, extra cans of stuff that are on sale, and then you might get someplace. So anyway, that's my message to you. No one's here listening. Let's see, where did I stick that? Did I stick that over here? Yes, I did. Let's see. Let's see. Because you go look at the usual suspects on YouTube, and it's like, meh, 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 meh. So I don't want to be that usual suspect. And that's why I don't really do that many shows anymore, because I don't really watch the news. I don't watch the news. I don't, no internet, no television, no anything. I have a radio. I got a pretty good, ETSU has a pretty good national public radio station. They produce about a third of their own productions. They really are quite good. And their cultural scene over there is quite good. but everyone's brain dead. They got great stuff going on, great classes, great everything going on, great people, but they're friggin' bread dead. They don't have a clue, right? And it's happening right there in their face. You know, the economic collapse is happening right there in their face. And it's quite amazing to see all of that. Do, 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 do. Let's see how my last show does. Your videos. Oh, 29, not too bad. 6 days. No thumbs up, no comments. Let's see. 13 days ago, 32. It's a blank. 3 thumbs up. Okay. Yeah, when I walk away and let the blank space be there, I do it on purpose because it's a metaphor of what's going on. It's all crickets. No one's, really going in it. And look, what are the Democrats doing? Sip. If you don't realize this is a scripted show, if you don't realize that Bernie is reading the same script that Carrot Head is, that Neon Husk is, this is so, and it's all on your nickel, guys. You have gone along for the ride for the last 100 years. So what can I say? Uh-oh, tutu. Yes. How weird do you really think it is? Hmm? It's weirder than you can ever freaking imagine. And so that's good. Good luck with that, right? Have a good day is all I can say. Uh-uh-uh. Do, 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 do. And remember, if you want to get any of my writings, I got like 18 novels in the oven, 8 that are readable. And I'd love some. Oh, there's John. I feel like the young guy next door, like he is in jail, trying to live. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreaming Dreamland with Sunset. Bob, that's me. Are you bleeding out there? I'm here to tell you a story. What to listen to. These days, I'm more interested in hearing your story. Oh, here's a good one.
You can save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Whoa! Ha, very funny, Limu. Doesn't even look like me.
There is no way to resist the charm. Last Friday, Russian officials said everything was under control, and now, radiation levels climbing, panic spreading. It seems Russia is about to experience Chernobyl too, and Putin may not be alive to see it. Did Ukraine accidentally trigger President Vladimir Putin's nuclear nightmare? And how much time does he have left? Before we begin, please comment on your country or city down below and see if you find your neighbors here.
I said this 12 years ago. I said this 30 years
Last
ago.
Friday, at precisely 6:30 in the evening, Moscow time, the Russian Ministry of Defense released a brief but chilling statement. A minor incident has occurred at a military storage site in Saratov Oblast. Radiation levels are under control. Your neighbor whispers, "Did you hear about the leak?" Radios crackle, phones buzz with rumors, and the word radiation echoes through every narrow street and apartment block.
Uh-oh.
In seconds, people remember 1986, the haunting images of helicopters dropping sand over Reactor 4, the metallic taste in the air, and the long lines for iodine bills. Saratov lies just about 250 miles away, northeast of the crumbling remains of Chernobyl. Now, with reports of Geiger counters ticking higher than normal,
Tell us a little bit about your meeting with Laura Loomer and Mike Schultz today, and how that came about. Very good patron. She's a very strong person. And I saw her yesterday for a little while. She makes recommendations of things and people. And sometimes it's recommendations like I do with everybody.
It's often when they should be most afraid. The General Staff's official statement avoided words like explosion or leak. Instead, Instead, they called it a controlled situation. Yet satellite images analyzed by Reuters and the Moscow Times revealed emergency response units and hazmat crews setting up decontamination zones near Ingalls Air Base, less than 60 kilometers from Saratov. In interviews with locals collected by Novaya Gazeta, a woman named Valentina, 63, shared, "I remember Chernobyl. Back then they told us nothing until it was too late. Now they say all is fine, but we see the men in suits with detectors. I don't let my grandchildren play outside." Grocery stores saw a surge in people buying bottled water, canned food, and iodine tablets. Pharmacies reported shortages within hours. The fear wasn't just of radiation, it was of being lied to again. This wasn't merely about radioactive particles in the air, it was about the deep-rooted distrust between the Russian people and their leaders. The official narrative said, "Stay calm," but the unspoken truth was, "You're on your own." The official story only scratched the surface. In the next chapter, we'll peel back the curtain and ask the hard question. Did Ukraine know about this hidden arsenal? According to NATO intelligence briefings obtained by Der Spiegel and confirmed by independent defense analyst Pavel Felgenhauer, Ukraine had no verified knowledge of a nuclear storage site at or near Engels Air Base. Ukrainian officials speaking anonymously to the Kiev Independent admitted, "Our objective was Engels bombers, not the supposed stockpiles beneath them. If we knew about nuclear assets, we would have approached it differently." Ukraine's strategy had consistently focused on degrading Russia's conventional strike capability, especially the long-range Tu-95 MS bombers stationed at Engels. But nuclear storage? That wasn't part of Ukraine's known target picture. Why would Russia risk placing nuclear munitions this close to the front lines? Saratov and its surrounding oblast, while technically deep inside Russia's borders, are no longer beyond the reach of modern drone warfare. Ukrainian drones have repeatedly struck targets up to 700 kilometers inside Russia. Still, Ingalls Air Base remained one of Russia's most fortified and secretive facilities, yet somehow, nuclear weapons, or at least nuclear materials, were stored there. Defense analysts speculate that this decision was not purely military. Some suggest it may have been a move rooted in old Soviet doctrine, keeping munitions close for rapid deployment. Others believe it reflects Russia's increasing desperation. Russian military commentator Viktor Baranet, speaking to Komsomolskaya Pravda in February 2025, remarked, "The Russian high command has fewer options now. The front lines have shifted. Engels is no longer safe, but neither is anywhere else." For ordinary Russians, however, in Saratov, Mikhail, a 44-year-old father of two, told Novaya Gazeta, "We don't care if it was meant for defense or offense. Why are we sitting next to nuclear bombs? Why was this kept secret until the drones came?" Do you think Russia deliberately took this risk, or was it cornered into a dangerous decision by the realities of war? Share your thoughts in the comments. And in the next chapter, let's explore an attack that Russia never saw coming. It happened just before dawn on March 20th, 2025. Under the cover of darkness, a squadron of Ukrainian long-range drones, modified for stealth, slipped past Russia's vaunted air defense network. No warning sirens, no scrambling interceptors, only the quiet hum of electric engines moving through the night air. Engels is not just any base, it is one of the crown jewels of the Russian Strategic Air Command, nestled deep in Saratov Oblast, far from the Ukrainian border. Home to the Tu-95 MS Bear bombers, the base plays a critical role in Russia's long-range nuclear and conventional strike capabilities. The Tu-95 MS fleet is responsible for carrying the Kai-101 cruise missiles, Russia's most advanced and expensive air-launched weapons. Each Kai-101 costs an estimated $10 million. These missiles have rained down on Ukrainian power plants, cities, and infrastructure for over 2 years. In total, at least 12 Ukrainian drones struck the base, according to satellite imagery analyzed by Bellingcat and confirmed by Reuters. 96 Kart-101 missiles, Russia's most expensive and effective weapons, reduced to scrap metal, a $960 million loss. But it wasn't just missiles. Fuel depots erupted into towering infernos. Several Tu-95 MS bombers, each valued at roughly $35 million, were shredded by shrapnel and secondary explosions. Underground bunkers, once believed to be impervious, suffered structural damage, according to Ukrainian intelligence sources quoted by the Kiev Independent. Satellite images released by Maxar Technologies showed blackened craters peppering the runway and taxiways. From space, Engels Air Base looked like a chessboard where half the pieces had been swept off. On the ground, local villagers near the base described hearing a deep rumble, then flashes lighting up the night sky. An eyewitness from the nearby village of Novyengo, Igor 57, told Novaya Gazeta, "We saw the flames rise higher than the trees. It wasn't just one explosion, it went on for nearly an hour." Engels was never supposed to be vulnerable, yet in one night, Ukraine demonstrated that even Russia's core defenses could be breached. For Ukrainians and much of the international community, the strike felt like a rare moment of justice, a well-calculated retaliation for months of bombardments that left Ukrainian cities in the dark, civilians in shelters, and power grids crippled. Friends, during this 5-second pause, don't hesitate to drop a like as a little encouragement for us. And if this is our first time crossing paths, make sure to hit that follow button and turn on notifications to stay updated with the latest breaking news. State of emergency and fear of Chernobyl 2. The morning after the attack, the streets of Saratov and its nearby villages were filled with thick. From the village of Usovka, just 4 miles from Engels Air Base, locals filmed cracked windows, collapsed ceilings, and dust-covered floors. Villagers reported a strange, bitter taste in the air and a dull headache setting in within hours. For those who lived through the Soviet Union,
Hey,
the
kids, get
symptoms
ready.
were all
That's
too
gonna happen in
familiar.
your neighborhood.
On March
Yes,
22nd,
yes,
Russian
yes,
state
yes.
television reluctantly broke the news. The government was declaring a regional state of emergency for
Go read your
Saratov
Bible.
Oblast.
How many
Yet the
times
official
did Israel
explanation
kick
remained vague. The Ministry of
innocent
Emergency
persons' ass? The
Situations claimed it
Mesopotamians,
was
the
to prevent
Babylons, the
panic and
Egyptians,
monitor
but then they became
environmental
strong
safety,
and powerful
avoiding direct mention
and
of radiation
basically ate
contamination.
their lunch, right?
Meanwhile,
Every
Roshid-Rumet, Russia's
300
official
years,
weather and radiation monitoring
Israel would
agency,
end up
quietly
in
updated its public maps showing localized gamma radiation
slavery.
levels as high as 0.75 microsieverts per hour in the affected zone. Well,
but no more
background, but
slavery
below
than what you
immediate
are.
danger
They were,
thresholds.
it's a
However,
feudal society.
independent sensors
Not
operated by
slavery, but
citizen networks
all
such as Eco-Defense
the truest
suggested
slave
that
is that
localized
Christian
spikes
food
exceeded
by their
1.2
own admission,
microsieverts per hour in
says
certain wind
Lord
patterns.
Jesus.
The
Let me
resemblance
walk
to
through your door of
Chernobyl is
unconditional
haunting.
forgiveness, that I
Back
may be
then,
God's
Soviet authorities
unconditionally
famously
loving
delayed
slave.
public warnings,
That's what I
assuring
am.
Ukrainians and
That's where I'm
Belarusians
at.
that nothing was
That's
wrong
why I spent the last
until
3
radioactive
weeks
clouds
in
had
the woods,
already swept
because
across Europe.
much better to talk to
Valentina,
God.
the same
see
Saratov
nature,
resident we
and to
heard
listen
from
to
earlier,
this.
shared with Novaya Gazeta, the way they talk, the way they hide the truth. It is like 1986 again. My neighbors call each other asking, "Do you feel sick? We don't trust the numbers." The radiation fear did not stay local. By the evening of March 23rd, with neighboring regions such as Penza and Volgograd reported higher than average radiation readings.
The first signs of sciatic nerve decay may surprise you.
Oh,
Most
no.
people don't know this, but the real reason behind searing sciatic nerve pain has less to do with a bulging disc or a spine disorder than we first thought. Nearly 90% of adults 60 years of age or older
can I
have
shut this
bulging
thing up?
discs or disc degeneration, but absolutely no pain symptoms. Here's the problem. No matter what type of pain remedies you take or therapies you try, you're often only addressing the symptoms, not
higher than average radiation readings. Though authorities blamed wind anomalies, international watchdogs like the International Atomic Energy Agency officially requested access to inspect Engels and its surroundings, but the Kremlin rejected the request, citing national security. In Moscow.
Anyway, so the most important thing is your relationship with the creative force of the universe, right? Because everything else is an illusion, right? So don't worry about a thing. Get off your butt and get active, not radioactive. And kids, I said that Russia would nuke Europe. I didn't realize it was going to nuke itself first, but this is, if it is what I think it is, That stuff is very hot and very radioactive. If people, 20 kilometers away within hours start tasting something, having a headache, not good idea. So even if it's nothing, that's enough to piss the Russian people off. And see, that's the whole thing about Russia. Everything's fine until they have a revolution, right? And Putin, he's not in the best of health, right? And Donnie, he, you guys don't understand. Donald, from the very beginning, wanted to he was paid to come here and destroy um, the United States, right? And he still thinks he's a game show host. And the thing of the game was to destroy the United States. So he's doing his best, and he's doing a great job. And all his um, micro penis friends, they what's $1 billion? Nothing. Look at the Neon Husk. He bought what's his name the bird for 40 something $1 billion. Now it's worth 30 something $1 billion. Now he started a AI entity, XAI, and he's hooked it up to whatever he's calling that useless social platform. Um, you know, and he went in as a douche to just scrape. Scrape is when you take all the information off of a platform and use it for your own economic goods. That's what he did. He is planning to make his own economic system. He's planning to prevent nuclear exchange, not war, exchange, which will collapse everything. And he will come riding in on a horse with his, skyline. He's going to give everyone in the world his, neon husk smart apparatus, and it can do anything, right? And so, and it'll be, to have it. You're not going to be holding it. It's going to be something like this, something like that. That was implanted back in the 80s. And that was the only way I could, they said, well, Al, you've been around too much stuff. And I said, okay, I'm not going to sign anything, but, okay, just look over here. Okay, very good. And then that thing. Anyway, none of this matters. All that matters is the relationship you have with the Creator. That's it. And, you shouldn't be dissing other people because your liturgy is different than theirs. Because every religion's basically the same thing. It's a business scam to get over on you, right? So, want to know something in all ears? Yep, the big splat slated for, yep, possibly the Alien movie in October. Yes, I really think something very humongous is going to happen in this month, April, right? And Liberation Day was April 2, right? And the stock market has fallen through the floor. And what people don't realize is that his billionaire buddies are, basically putting puts on the market out of the collapse. So they're going to make a fortune out of the collapse. Very similar to what Joe Kennedy did in the 29 collapse. Him and the other guy, the Occidental Petroleum guy. Anyway, here it is, 24 minutes and 11 seconds. What time is it? Almost 2. Nobody's really saying anything. I don't I keep seemingly repeating myself. That's why I'm down to one show a week. Plus the roads all around me are destroyed. And my car is, got 300,000 miles on it. And, Jesus gave it to me and he said, it'll get you wherever you need to go. Just don't go anywhere. Stay out on your front lawn and talk to me. So that's all I've been doing, right? So, because pretty much, if people don't know it or not, the people on social media, they are reading the script too. All the people who are outraged about what Donnie's doing. Really, give me a break. And the senator from where Corey, whatever his name is, who spoke for 26 hours or whatever it was, big fracking deal. What did he vote on? Look at what he voted on. Hours later, with things that were not good for his own constituency, let alone the people in this country, let alone, yes, it's a circus. It's the NICP, the Neo Insane Clown Party. That's what we got, right? And it's neither left or right, neither Democrat or Republican, neither MAGA or whatever, progressive. They're all on the same payroll, right? It's unfriggin' believable. And let's see. Let's see what our good friend Dark Journalist's last show. Cosmic Revolutions. Ooh. Myself, you have done Ancient American Societies. Dark Journalist's last YouTube show.
And we are live. This is Dark Journalist. What a fantastic crowd we have out there and the ideas from tonight already. Of course, tonight I am joined by the lovely Olivia.
Hi, everybody.
And Olivia, Private Eyes, they're watching you. Watching you, Private Eyes. So apparently we had these JFK committee hearings, and they took place this week, and we did get Oliver Stone in those hearings, which was good, but the hearing was largely a bust because the Congress people involved were playing politics. We're going to get into that tonight, and I'm going to give specific instructions to this Luna D-Class committee on how to get some real results out of the UFO file hearings, the JFK.
Oh, very good. Fire Drake 09. The Ringing Cedar communities. Excellent. Everything, all politics is local, right? Think globally, act locally. This lady you should go read all her books. They're very, very fine books. Her husband is keeping the flame burning, and basically, all of her communities are your basic eco-village common sense. Grow your own food, take care of your own watershed, help each other out, work together, don't support, Ringing Cedar of Russia, right? That's where she started out there in the wetlands, Like I said, go read her books, right? They're all, I don't know how many there are, at least 10 or more. I mean, really good. Common Sense. Anastasia. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I read those books back in the 70s, 80s, whenever they came, perestroika times, right? Mikhail Gorbachev period, right? So I read those books then. And I was part of communities that were doing that. And there are lots of communities all around America. And And at the turn of the century of 1800s, to 1900, there were loads of Kellogg's and Post and tons of large corporations were running communities in their business, like Anastasia, right? So she puts forth a very good process on how to build an eco village and an eco community and an eco country is the key. I would agree with you, Fire Drake, right? And all we have to do, and my whole life I have been basically doing things of that nature, like right here at the undisclosed location, right? It's an old school that we turned into a community center that basically kept this corner of the three states alive during September's hurricane here, because the county, state, and federal government did zero zilch, right? FEMA has put $20 million in here, not to fix our roads or do anything, but to clear up the trees. We had so many trees down, right? And so they're scared of forest fires, and so am I. That $20 million went to pay private corporations, like Lakefront, what's his name, and Mercantile Masturbation and Mobster, cleansing money, real estate corporation. They bought up everything, and they are just clearing all the properties that they have buildings on. So, and they got insurance money to put metal roofs and fire retardant materials on these buildings. And so they'll be safe when we have, California types of fires. But all the people who have lived here generations out there in the middle of the woods. Now, when I cleared my area and I took all the trees out, I took so many trees that you took too many trees down. Oh, I'm a guy who knows, and I'm all about. I'm responsible, and you took too many trees. No, I took the trees down so they wouldn't just fall down and crash my house or my car. And if the forest caught fire, there would be a good 100-yard fire break between those trees over there and the limbs and everything and me, right? So my house is made out of fire retardant materials and metal roof and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm looking at, if we have a worst case, unbelievable Holocaust California fire, 80% sure I'll survive, right? But around me will be, I won't be able to live here. Like all the fires in California, the ones in Hawaii, and the ones up in Canada, and these were areas that certain parts of those fires had lots of people living in them. And like in California, and they won't let the people back. Here it is, almost a month, 2 months, they're not letting them back because the fires were caused by something other than natural causes. And that left your basic incriminating evidence. And so they're waiting to wind blow it away. Plus, it's extraordinarily toxic. And you can see places where these fires have occurred over the last 20 years. Basically, the people who have lived there and didn't leave are dead of cancer, pretty much. Which is, Neon Husk is getting rid of all of the federal entities, EPA, Social Security, healthcare. I mean, there are a whole bunch of national laboratories that, that data, that those teams of scientists, basically he's finding them and then hiring them into his own little, domicile, right? Maybe he's taking them off planet, I don't know. But something really out of this world is going to happen between now and 10 days after the 20th of April, before May, right? So somewhere in there is Adolf Hitler's birthday. So go look up Adolf Hitler's birthday. I bet you dollars to donuts, some weird ass shit is going to happen, right? So it could be a world economic collapse because we're definitely, if Monday comes around and this week, the New York Stock Exchange keeps collapsing 1,800 points a day, which would bring us, if we go below 28,000, we go below 28,000, it's like a railroad, train off the bridge, down the ravine, heading towards, crashing into the big splat. And it won't really matter because our economy has already did that in 1972, and that's what the economic collapse of 1968 to 1998 was all about. And Bill Clinton was the only guy. He basically balanced the budget for the last 4 years of his presidency, and he got the deficit down to $60 billion. That's all we owe. 60. That's like, the Defense Department spends that on erasers every year, and Billy Boy got that down. And that was part of the reason he did that was the thing he did, getting slapped on the wrist for getting a blowjob in the Oval, right? And he did that on purpose. He made sure he shot his wad all over what's her name's dress, knowing that the witch in the next office was going to put that dress into an evidence bag, right? I mean, they did this, they followed evidential procedure from ejaculate onto dress. She goes in the next room, takes the dress off, puts it in the evidence bag, gets taken and put into a chain of evidence. And that's why Billy Boy was, I did not have whatever you want to call it with that woman. So anyway, there are so many easy solutions to world peace, world harmony, world everyone getting along, but a very few people are just using this as an excuse to really fuck the planet, give God the finger, especially people who are quoting the book. I feel sorry for those guys, People in my church who, we have to kill all the Muslims. I said, who are you talking about? Oh, the place that isn't Palestine, that's really Israel. It was always Israel. For 3,000 years when the Jews weren't there, and they weren't even called Jews, they went, it's still theirs. It's like, that's the people in all three churches, Catholic, Methodist, and Baptist. Baptists really are, oh, baby. So, when that happened, when one of the deacons said that in front of the whole church, we all have to hate these people. We want them to die. We need to support that our government kills them all. And I said, excuse me, but that's 2.7 million people. And not all of them are Muslim. Actually, half of them are Christian. And half of the people in this church have given money to a Baptist nonprofit to build a hospital in the Gaza Strip. And the head guy, oh, we'd never do that. And the lady who runs the bank is, excuse me, no, we gave money to this Baptist organization that we give money to like spread the word of Jesus around the thing, and they build hospitals. And yes, we gave a good over 10 years about $50,000 to build a hospital in Gaza City. Everyone was like, so that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Danny. Okay. I like the guy, Eamon Hillman and Danny Jones interview. Okay, let's go. Let's go to that. Okay, let's see. Eamon Hillman and Danny Jones interview. Hey, here it is. Ancient language expert Jesus Christ used children as drugs. Hmm. Amon Hillman. Hmm. I love it. Uh, he knows the ancient Greeks. Yes, I mean that's if you like. I keep telling people this, especially Christians. I said, "So you read your Bible?" Yes. So you know what the Old Testament is? Oh yeah, it's the Old Testament. It's the Jewish Jesus Christ. I said, well, kind of maybe, but it's really a kind of. Did you ever play that game, Telephone? Well, the Old Testament is a thing called the Torah, right? And in the Hebrew religion, there were three books: Torah, Tabla, and Kabbalah, right? And the Torah was just for the common folk, and it was in Greek; it wasn't even Hebrew, because the Jews of Jesus' time they didn't speak Hebrew; they spoke Greek. It was the common tongue, the business tongue. So anyway, the translation of the Torah into Greek, its title is "You Suck." So that's it. Um, and the Old Testament is God going on and on and on about how Israel, and he really didn't, no one calls the Hebrew nation, the Hebrew tribes, they don't call them Israel until Exodus. After Exodus, the 12 tribes became Israel. Right? And in essence, when you really read the Old Testament in Greek, you realize that what uh, God's talking about isn't the Hebrews, it's everybody, right? That is Israel, everybody, right? And he talks about Israel being like his girlfriend, who, steals his cigarettes and takes his loose change out of his pocket. So here we are, 42 minutes and coming up to 42 seconds, right? So I can't seem to bring up Amon Hillman. Let's try it again. I go to his thing where it wants me to buy his stuff, and I only have right now I have all of 85 cents to my name, and I'm going to have 6 major surgeries in the next 2 months. Heart surgery, they're gonna change every joint in my body. Surgery. I'm gonna be like the $8 million man, or I'll be dead. One or the other. Oh, I guess it's their chance. I'll be dead. I'll be like the $8 million man, or I'll be worse than I am today. But let's all pray that I'll be better. Oh, there's the man. There's the man. Hey, man, what's shaking? Honey bun, are you there? Yoo-hoo. What happened? Where are you? It doesn't always work. Sometimes you can call in and then it doesn't work. Uh, anyway, Okay, we're going to try this again. Are you there? Hey, Sean. Hey, homeboy. Okay. Well, I guess I'm down to one, so I'm going to sign off and move on. Okay? Okay. So I may not talk to you for another week. Who knows? Or I may talk to you tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday or whatever. So go back and watch my past shows. Really, I'm telling you, it would be a lifeboat, right? It would give you, and I would put them down on, on your hard drive, on thumb drives, on zip drives, on whatever drive for posterity, right? Because we are heading into ages we've already experienced, but most people aren't ready for, right? So, there's a great scene in a movie called Zardos. Go watch that movie because that really kind of gives a nice heads up. That thing was made in the 70s or 80s, and it was really foretold where we are right now. So, because it was right where we were right then. Wherever you go, there you are. And I'm going to say later. Do, 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 do. And stream.